My mom, I think, is gonna get to Rangeley at 6 o'clock tonight, but maybe I can make it there quicker than that. That stinks. Lost my glasses case and my sunglasses were in there too. So it's pouring. I'm not shocked. I made it to the summit of Old Blue Mountain. I'm assuming that the climb down isn't going to be too fun because the whole trail was a waterfall. I am literally knee deep in mud right now. Oh, this was off. And she said that emergency services called her and said that they're sending rescue for me. It won't stop ringing. Day 112 for me on the Appalachian Trail was very dramatic. A lot went on, so I decided to split that day into 2 parts. So this is part 2 of day 112. If you haven't seen part 1, I posted it yesterday. I'll put the link in the description and you can get all caught up. So a lot went on that day that I didn't get in the vlog. It was very hectic. It was raining, so I'm just here to narrate everything that I didn't get on film. So I last left you off on day 112 on a little bit of a cliffhanger. I have this Garmin InReach Mini, and I had said that it had initiated an SOS call, and I had absolutely no idea. So I have been carrying this my entire through hike this year, and I always keep it off. And it has a little carabiner attached to it, so it's always hanging on the back of my backpack. It's off, and I only turn it on when I get to camp and I want to text Chet saying that I got to camp and there's no service, but I'm safe and you probably won't hear from me for the rest of the night. So that's the only time I ever use this, but I do keep it on me all the time because of the SOS button. So you can see it on the side. I hike by myself the majority of the time, so it's a peace of mind for me to have an SOS button so I can, alert people if I have no service that I'm in danger. But this button isn't something you can press accidentally. It's actually got a flap that opens and then you press the SOS button. So I've never been concerned about accidentally pressing SOS. I didn't think it was possible, but apparently the SOS was initiated that day and search and rescue was sent to look for me. So I had no idea this happened. The first thing that happened for me was that I got a call. My phone was ringing and I had my earbuds in, so I just answered it with the button on my earbuds. And I thought it was going to be Chet because he always calls me every day at the same time, and it was around that time. So when I answered it and it wasn't Chet, it was some guy named Justin. I don't know anyone that would just call me out of the blue named Justin. So I just assumed it was a spam call or just something that was not important. And because I was hiking up a mountain, I was out of breath and it was downpouring. I just didn't feel like talking. So I just pretended like I couldn't hear him. So I just said that. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't hear you. It's raining. And then I hung up on him. Had no idea it was Garmin calling me. So I had been texting with my mom throughout the day because she was planning on picking me up near Rangeley at 6 p.m. But because I was hiking so slow, I kept texting her updates like, oh no, it's going to be close to 7 o'clock. And then it's going to be closer to 7:30. So I had been texting her, so she knew I was fine. But all of a sudden I get a text from my mom saying that Garmin called her because she is listed as an emergency contact because she bought this for me before I was even married. So as soon as I set it up, I listed my mom as an emergency contact. Once I hung up on Justin, he called my mom saying that he's from Garmin, he has my coordinates, I'm in danger, he's sending search and rescue, he called the Rangeley police, and he dispatched everyone. And of course my mom is freaking out. But at the same time, she's like, no, I just talked to her. She's okay. So my mom answered some questions that Justin asked, like my medical history, my age, my I think just the basic questions. And then once she finished doing that with Justin, my mom called me or texted me, and I was like, no, I'm fine. I don't know how any of that happens. Like, my Garmin's off. And then as I'm talking to her, I reach back, get the Garmin from off my backpack, and it said something like emergency in progress or SOS initiated. I forget exactly what it said, but it was on. It wasn't supposed to be on. And so I tried to like press the buttons. I tried to like turn it off, but I guess with the Garmin InReach, it won't let you turn it off if an SOS is in progress. So I was flustered. I was trying to press all the buttons. I was trying to like text them back that I was okay, because they were sending me messages and I had to go and like, you know, like one by one, like spell out the words like I'm okay. So I was trying to do that. I told my mom to call Justin back and tell him I was fine. At that point, Justin went to my next emergency contact, which was Chet, and started asking him questions, and Chet's telling him more about my medical history and other issues that have gone on that he can just come up with. And so it was a whole thing. And then I ended up calling Justin back and telling him myself. Actually, when I called back, I think it was his coworker. I forget her name. But I ended up telling her that I was fine. At that point, I was still messing with this, trying to cancel the SOS. But I noticed every time I canceled the SOS, it would reinitiate an SOS. So this thing was totally glitching out. My theory is that it just got so water damaged, and whatever is in the system, it just kept thinking I was hitting the SOS button when I wasn't. So I got on the phone with Garmin myself, because this all happened on the summit of Bemis Mountain, which I had service for, which I'm really thankful, because I was able to call them and talk to them and tell them I was okay, and talk to my mom and talk to Chet, and just like get the point across that I was fine, and to not send police, not send search and rescue and everything they were doing, because it would have been a whole thing trying to get me from the summit of Bemis Mountain if I really was in danger. So yeah, I'm thankful I got to talk to everyone. I talked to Garmin and just told them, hey, my Garmin's going to keep calling SOS until it runs out of battery. Just ignore all of them, because I'm fine. My mom's picking me up in 3 miles and I'll get a new Garmin. So they're like, okay, thanks for letting us know. Don't worry about anything. They were super nice about it. So I'm feeling a little bit relieved, but also like I said, flustered and just overwhelmed with the whole situation. Every self-bounder I passed that day, I told them like, hey, if you see any search and rescue people, tell them I'm fine. I'm gonna go to this trailhead in 3 miles and go into town. So my mom ends up just going to the parking lot to the height of the land at our normal meetup spot to wait for me. I had 3 miles left, which in Maine, it could have taken me a very long time to hike those 3 miles, but she was fine just being at that parking lot and waiting for me. And she had service at that parking lot, she told me, so she felt comfortable. And if any police or rescue people did show up at that parking lot, she would be able to talk to them herself and tell them I was fine. So I hiked down off of Bemis Mountain. I cross a dirt road, which is just Bemis Road, I believe. And then I hike a couple more minutes and I get to a stream crossing. And I have some footage from the stream crossing that you can watch now. Oh my God. That's not possible. What the? How do you do that? No. How is that possible? That's not possible. I just took one step in just to see how strong the current felt, and I went up to my chest and my feet still weren't even hitting the bottom. Oh my gosh. Good thing I was like holding on to the side of the riverbank. I don't know what to do. I only have 1 mile left today and my mom's waiting for me at the Height of the Lands parking lot. I really don't know how to cross this. I don't know how all the Sobos I saw today did it. They didn't mention anything. You take one step, I'm like, the water's above my head. And I walked really far in both directions. I don't know what to do. I probably spent 45 minutes at this stream crossing trying to figure out how to safely cross it. I walked all the way downstream. I walked all the way upstream. There was a little bit, I think, of just like a dam with broken down trees and sticks going across about half of the river. So it was sketchy, but I did climb on a bunch of fallen trees and I got halfway across the river, but the trees just kind of stopped and I didn't see anything else, no rocks sticking out, no trees, and it was still gushing. So that was the closest I got to crossing the river, but it wasn't enough. It was wicked dangerous. I had earlier in the day passed a bunch of self-bounders, and I have no idea how they crossed that. One of them even had a puppy with her, so I don't know how the dog... I still, to this day, have no idea how this group of self-bounders crossed that river crossing. Maybe they went even more downstream than I did, but I also had the pressure of knowing my mom was at that parking lot waiting for me, and I was way past my scheduled pickup time, and I had no service to just text her and be like, hey, I'm stuck at this river crossing. It's going to be a little bit for me to figure out how to cross it if I can. So I couldn't tell my mom. Obviously, this was broken. I couldn't get a satellite text out either. So I keep saying this, really flustered. So after 45 minutes of trying to figure out how to cross this river and me just thinking it's totally unsafe, which it was, I've showed that video to all my friends and family and everyone has been like, absolutely not. You can't walk through that river. I needed service to tell my mom that I wasn't gonna make it to that parking lot. So what I did is I turned around and I hiked back up Bemis Mountain, hundreds if not thousands of feet of elevation gain just to get 1 bar of service. So with my 1 bar of service near the summit of Bemis Mountain, I was able to call my mom and tell her the situation I was in, that I had got to this river and I couldn't cross it and I couldn't get to the parking lot where she was waiting. And I'm very long overdue from the time I told her that I was going to be at that parking lot. So of course she was worried, but she was happy to hear from me. And I had told her to look up Bemis Road because that is the dirt road right before the river crossing. And I figured that she could just pick me up there. So now I'm feeling a little better. I figured all I have to do is hike down off of Bemis Mountain back to that dirt road and my mom will pick me up there and we'd go into Rangeley for the night. We already had a hotel room. I'd get some food and happily ever after. So I hike down off of Bemis Mountain and I get to this dirt road. I get there before she does because for her to drive from where she was at Height of the Land to Bemis Road, it is very long. Like, it's only 1 mile away on the AT, but to drive a car to that road, it was way out of the way. I'll put it up on the screen right now what my mom had to drive, but it was going to take a while. So I got to the dirt road before she did. I started seeing signs for ATVs and like ATV stop signs and road signs just for ATVs. So I start freaking out because I was like, oh no, it's an ATV trail. My mom's not going to be able to take her car down this road. And now I have no service to tell her that. So I just start walking down the dirt road. I start going north because the road would eventually take me to Rangeley. And I was thinking, if my mom can't drive down this road, I'm just going to have to walk to Rangeley, which I think is going to be probably like 18 miles. And it might take me all night. The sun's gonna go down. I'm probably gonna see moose, and so I started freaking out. This is a disaster. 18 miles. My watch just beeped. I was supposed to meet my mom at Height of the Lands, or whatever it's called, lookout, at 6 p.m. Now it's 8:19. When I realized I couldn't cross that river, I turned around and hiked Sobo back up Bemis Mountain, which is a friggin' climb. I've never sweat so much in my life, just to get service, to call her, and she's worried sick. And I give her the coordinates for this random dirt road, and I don't even know if it's open for cars. So I'm just hiking north. I'll walk to Rangeley if I have to. This day is a disaster. So I'm walking down this road for about a mile, and I come to a big opening with like a big lake, and then all of a sudden I get service, which is great. So I text my mom exactly where I am, and now my mom doesn't have service, so she's not getting that text, but if she ever does get service, she'd get my message and that'd work out. So I'm walking down this dirt road and a car passed me, and I get really excited. So I flag them down and I just ask them a few questions. I was like, okay, so cars can drive down this road, right? And they're like, oh yeah, this is totally open for cars to drive down. It's like, okay, if you see my mom in an orange Bronco, let her know that I am right here. And I told this couple the whole situation. They gave me their phone number in case I was in trouble. They lived around the corner and I could just go back to their house. So I started feeling better. And then 1 minute after I spoke to this couple driving down the road, I see my mom's orange Bronco come down, and we're both so happy. I gave her a big hug, and she drove me back to Rangeley. And then I decided that I wasn't going to get back on trail. This day took so much out of me. So in tomorrow's video, I'll explain the situation more, but I ended up going to Rangeley, getting some food, sleeping in the hotel room that we had booked, and then the next morning, my mom drove me back home to New Hampshire, and this is where I am. I have about 11 days left of my through hike. I had 230 miles left. I think I'm gonna go back out in September to finish the trail, but I'll tell you more about all that tomorrow. I'm assuming this video is pretty long anyways, but I am super happy. Don't feel sorry, don't feel bad. Everything worked out, and yeah, I'm home for the summer. I'm back to work. I'm feeling good, and I'll head back on the trail in September. So stay tuned for tomorrow because I have some more information for you guys. I'll see you then. Bye.